2023 meeting of the Town of Abingdon Planning Commission to order. For those of you in the audience, welcome to the Town of Abingdon, Virginia Planning Commission regular meeting. We appreciate your interest, encourage public participation in our meeting. Your comments are important to our decision-making process. There will be two opportunities during the meeting for you to address the Planning Commission. The first will come when we ask for public comment for items not on the agenda. The second opportunity will come if there is a public hearing, once the public hearing is called, is open. The chairman will inquire if anybody wishes to address the members of the commission. Anybody addressing the Planning Commission meeting should approach the podium, give your first and last name, and your complete physical address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Ms. Rice, if you would call the roll.
Sure. Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Weaver?
Present.
Mr. Pennington?
Present.
Mr. Sproles?
Present.
Mr. Wilson?
Present.
And Mr. Schuman.
Present. The next item of business is approval of the minutes regular meeting, April 24th, 2023. The minutes are in your packet. I was not at the meeting, so are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as submitted? If not, is there a motion that we approve the minutes as submitted?
I'll move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Austin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm going to abstain. I was not at the meeting.
Same for me.
Okay. The next order of business is public comment for items not on the agenda. Has anybody signed up to speak? Is there anybody here who wishes to address the Planning Commission for items not on the agenda? Okay. Then we'll move along to the certificate of appropriateness special use permit. Item 1, certificate of appropriateness, Shaped, 284 West Main Street, Abingdon, Virginia, 24210. Certificate of appropriateness for signage located at 284 West Main Street, Abingdon, Virginia, 24210. Parentheses, tax map 011-8-25 in parentheses. Staff report.
Gabriel Christopher, Town of Abington. So Casey Edward, the applicant and owner, and Jerry Signs as the representative have requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness for a new wall sign located at 284 West Main Street. And the property is within the Central Business District, or B3. Some background: Shaked Bakes and Couture Milkshakes will be occupying Anthony's Desserts' former location. The proposed signage will be placed in the same location Anthony's Desserts had their signage. Moving on to staff findings. The proposed wall sign measures 90 inches by 28 inches, equaling 17.5 square feet. The total length of the primary elevation is roughly 30.2 feet, making the allowable square footage 60.4 square feet. The square footage for the proposed wall sign meets Abington's general sign standards. The proposed wall sign will be fabricated out of .063 aluminum and have black vinyl lettering. The background of the sign will be white with a black and gold border. The proposed wall sign appears to be roughly the same size as Wolf Hills' Antiques sign found almost immediately to the east. The proposed wall sign appears to be the same size and placed in the same location as Anthony's Dessert signage when located at 284 West Main Street. Anthony's Dessert signage previously attached to the primary elevation of 284 West Main Street was fabricated out of aluminum as well. So we pretty much match, same size, same material. It's just the new business going in there.
Any questions? All right, is there anybody, thank you, anybody in the audience that wants to speak to that? If not, is there a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any additional discussion? If not, Ms. Weiss, if you would call the roll.
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Pennington?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And Mr. Schuman.
Aye. All right, second order of business, certificate of appropriateness, Papa Julio's, 735 East Main Street, Avenue, Virginia, 24210. Certificate of appropriateness for signage located at 735 East Main Street, Avenue, Virginia, 24210, parentheses, tax map 007-1-1 in parentheses. Staff report.
So yes, Papa Julio's as the applicant owner and Jason Russ as the representative have requested approval of a certificate of appropriateness for a new wall sign located at 735 East Main Street. The property is within the general business district, or B2. Some background. Papa Julio's will be occupying Tenderloin Steaks and Seafood's former location. The proposed signage will be placed in the same location Tenderloin Steaks and Seafood had their signage. Moving on to staff findings. The proposed wall sign measures 86.71 inches by 139.77 inches, equaling 84.16 square feet. The total length of the bump out is roughly 38.6 feet, making the allowable square footage 77.2 square feet. Or if you count the bump out as an extension of the primary elevation and not as its own separate entity, then the primary elevation measures 74.7 feet, making the allowable square footage 154.4 square feet. The square footage for the proposed wall sign meets Edmonton's general sign standards depending on how the primary elevation is interpreted. From looking at the past, how Tenderloin's sign was a lot bigger, so it appeared they kind of went with just the bump out was just incorporated into the other primary elevation to get that full thing. So that's what it looked like precedent was back then for that. The proposed wall signage will be fabricated out of aluminum, have an acrylic face, and be internally illuminated. I'm guessing using the same hookup that Tenderloin's had. The proposed wall sign will be placed in the same location as Tenderloin Steaks and Seafood signage when located at 735 East Main Street. If you have any questions for me, I can answer them.
Any questions? Anybody else want to speak to that? If not, is there a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion that we approve the signage as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, Mr. Johnson. Any additional discussion? If not, Ms. Rice, if you would call the roll.
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Pennington?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And Mr. Schuman.
Aye. The next order of business is a certificate of appropriateness, 260 West Main Street LLC, 260 West Main Street Avenue, Virginia, 24210. Certificate of appropriateness for exterior changes located at 260 West Main Street Avenue, Virginia, 24210, parentheses, tax map 011-8-4 in parentheses.
So Douglas Beatty, the applicant owner, has requested approval of an entrance corridor certificate of appropriateness for exterior changes located at 260 West Main Street. The property is within the Central Business District, or B3. Some background. According to Places in Time, Volume 2 by Nancy C. King, the structure was built in 1914, so it does have some historical significance in a sense to it, based with its age and its connection to the town. Some staff findings. The applicant proposes to construct a wooden rear deck extension and patio area for dining and entertaining purposes. Currently, there is an existing wooden deck attached to the wood frame addition. However, the existing deck is only accessible to the public through an existing catering kitchen. The proposed pressure-treated wood deck would tie into the existing deck to ensure the deck connects to the rear entrance and not directly to the existing catering kitchen. The decking would have a metal railing, pre-finished black. Screening in the form of barn doors will be used to shield the existing smoker and associated wood debris. And you can see the examples, I put them in your packet there of what the addition looks like now. And then the railing that he's proposing in the barn door. If you have any questions for that specifically, I can answer now, or I can continue. Up to you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Concerning the windows, the applicant proposes to replace all windows with new windows that will match the existing in appearance. According to this 1950 photograph, the only difference between the existing and proposed windows can be found when comparing materials. The original windows were only wood construction. The applicant is proposing wood clad with aluminum. Both existing and proposed would be finished white. I could not find any historical documentation that showed that they were wood clad with aluminum. They've always just been wood, so. On the primary elevation of the the applicant proposes to restore the existing Abington Hardware and Supply Company painted signage and the Withers Stone nameplate to match existing. The applicant proposes to install a wrought iron fence and masonry raised garden beds. These two forms of barriers will help define the intended seating area from the parking area at the rear. Raised garden beds on wheels will be utilized as well to provide flexibility in laying out the outdoor space as needed on a day-to-day basis. The new patio seating area will be paved with concrete and brick pavers, and this new patio area is at the rear of the site, not at the front, obviously. And as in your packet, I have provided a sample of the fencing that the applicant's proposing, the portable garden beds. And then upon site visit, staff observed that a dumpster was unscreened on the property. Usually those do have to be screened in some way or fashion. Per zoning code, dumpsters must be screened from public view. So that's kind of one thing staff added in because on site visit we saw that it was not screened in. If you have any questions for me about any of the windows, background on those, the layout of it, I can try to answer them.
I have a question about the front of the building. You know, is there a proposal to paint the front above where the windows are now?
There's actually glass windows that are going in and are
Hey,
keeping them
you wanna-
up.
Could you come up to the front? Stand right here.
Would you identify yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm Doug Beatty. I'm the owner of Bonfire Smokehouse and 260 Main LLC. Yeah, the top of it, we had ordered some windows to be made, and between me having a stroke and some sicknesses and COVID, it took a while to get them, but I'm picking them up next Tuesday. So they're divided panes, and you've already approved that.
So above the windows that have been installed, where it says hardware or it's just that green space,
Correct.
that's going to be windows, or what's that?
Yes, sir. I'll show you a picture here.
Mhm. I put it on a different date, see, down here you can pick a different date.
Okay.
This is another restaurant that I've done in the past, so we're doing the exact same thing, and that's mimics what was there in 1917.
Now, is that in the packet? Is that in?
No, you've already approved this.
Oh, okay, that's been approved some time ago.
Yes, sir, 2 years ago.
I remember
Okay.
that.
I mean, our COAs don't last for 2 years though, so.
So it's kind of, we've let it go sometimes in the past, but it's kind of.
COA has, you've got to commence construction within 1 year.
1 year,
Research
right.
correct.
Well, some of the work's been done.
Yeah, well, we've been continuously working
Okay.
on it.
What we approved 2
Has
years
started.
ago, I think, is ongoing.
Okay.
I mean, I'm
Okay.
It is.
pretty sure, yeah.
But, I guess that's a question I have, is it may be ongoing, but what was approved, is it still out there, it's approved, or does it need to be addressed again in what we're doing tonight?
If it's still ongoing, then it's still ongoing in a sense, you don't have to approve it, you don't have to approve again. If it just stopped for a certain amount of days or never started, then you would have to review it again.
But since part of it's been started,
Yeah,
we don't have to.
no,
Okay.
since it's just ongoing, the whole thing.
Okay.
If they came in separately for everything, then yeah, you would have purview over that one thing that didn't start in a sense.
Okay. Are there questions for Gabe or for Mr. Beatty?
Well, I see the proposed patio seating area. How is it accessible to the disabled?
The existing exit door has a set of stairs that go down to the parking lot / what's going to be the patio. So we're just, when that deck goes on the back, that set of stairs is actually just going to move forward, but you'll still get the same way down into the parking lot as you do now.
for wheelchairs?
Well, we'd like to put a ramp there, but you can also get into the front door, which is on the same level, and requires no ramp.
Right, okay.
Additional questions, comments? Now, did I understand you to say that the dumpster has to be shielded? Would that be part of the motion that we need to make? I mean, in other words, it's not in this necessarily in this proposal, but it is required, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, it is required.
Okay.
So
We can make that as a condition of the approval of the COA.
Yeah, you can kind of add that in and say, and you can give it a time frame if you want to, say I want it done within the time from the COA or a month, whatever you guys want to do.
You don't have any objection?
No, that's actually part of the upcoming plan. You're gonna see us again next month for some fire exits from the upstairs and some other things like that, so we'll be back. But we want to get cracking on this back patio while summer's in front of us and not behind us.
Do you have a time frame for completion of
We'll
this?
start it tomorrow, and I want it to be done by July 1.
What's the anticipated timeframe to complete the front as in?
As soon as I pick those windows up on Tuesday, it'll be less than a week. We just have some trim work to do, and then we gotta get a painter out there.
Additional questions or comments? Do I have a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve it conditioned upon the dumpsters being taken care of in accordance with our rules and regulations.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Additional discussion? If not, Ms. Rice, would you call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Pennington?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And Mr. Schuman.
Aye. Done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
All right. Next order of business is old business matters not on the agenda. Is there anything that we necessarily need to discuss?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring the matter to the attention of the Planning Commission. At our April 24th meeting, we approved a zoning text amendment which provided for a change in that ordinance to allow, as Planning Commission unanimously approved, the recommendation to the council being 60 days should someone not apply, or should the council not have appointed someone for one of the committees of the town or the boards for the town. Again, that was approved unanimously by the Planning Commission. That was presented to the town council for approval, and a motion was made and seconded at that time to reduce it back to the 30 days, which was the original staff recommendation, not the Planning Commission recommendation. And after discussion of that at town council, that motion was defeated on a 4-1 vote. And the substitute motion was made for 45 days, and that was approved. So I wanted the Planning Commission to know, I pointed out to the council 3 things. Number one, that our concern was the same people serving continuously on the committees, and it was good to have a turnover in those committees, if that's possible, if qualified applicants were present, able to take those positions. I also pointed out that I felt that the 60 days is why the Planning Commission approved that, was to give more time for the general public to know that those boards are available and those openings are available, and to make application. And the third thing I pointed out is, unless a recommendation of the Planning Commission is plainly wrong, that's why we have a planning commission, and we should agree with those recommendations. As I said, council at the conclusion of that defeated the motion, and then the substitute motion was made somewhat as a compromise, I suppose, of 45 days, and that was what was approved. Again, I want the commission to know how that happened and to let you know that as I view my job as a liaison to the council, that I expressed to the council why the planning commission thought 60 days was more appropriate than the staff recommended 30 days.
You know, one thing I think that we discussed, and I hope that might be something the council would consider, is the idea that when you have people who apply for boards or commissions, that a person who is interested but maybe not selected at a given time, at least that application be kept in mind, and maybe somebody like that would be contacted to see if they're interested, because I think, you know, you got two things to consider. One is, you know, some institutional knowledge, but turnover is good. I mean, you know, when you look at the fact that you can serve on the planning commission or the HPBRB for a fairly lengthy amount of time, you're going to have people on those commissions that have some institutional knowledge, and some turnover and some new people, I think, is good. I think the only thing is sometimes people will apply, and it would be nice to know if those same people are still interested. So you would have at least maybe a list of people that you would call on for these different things, because it is true. Two things are true. One is that you don't have sometimes a number of people. The other thing is you can look at a lot of these commissions, and I speak for myself in saying this, there are a number of people on these commissions who are not young. and some youth on some of these things might be helpful.
Understand.
I mean, I wouldn't speak for anybody else.
No, sir,
For
absolutely.
myself. All right, any announcements, anything else to come before the commission? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.